Hey.
I have friends that don't even know how lucky they are that they never have to sit this exam. I'm traumatized to this day.
To this day! Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
Slip, slide, trying to provide for me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Sunny, and if you wouldn't mind pressing that subscribe button, that would mean a lot to me. Make sure you like the video to help push it out there for more people to see and discover my channel. Today we're talking about my UCAT experience. I've had the pleasure of sitting this disgusting exam twice, and it was rough. But yeah, where does this all begin? Okay, so I decided I wanted to study medicine at around April, May time of 2020. And so whilst I was doing my Googles, I realised, oh, there are a couple entrance exams I could sit. And my thought process through deciding which one, the BMAT or the UCAT, which I was going to take, was who takes them and where can they get you. So I realised you have to take the BMAT if you want to go to Oxbridge or like 5 other universities, but all the rest of the UK universities, which is about 26 of them, all use the UCAT. And so my thought process was everyone who doesn't get into Oxbridge will just spill over into these other 5 unis, and I don't feel like competing with people who think they can get into Oxbridge, so I'm going to take the UCAT. Plus the UCAT has a lot more opportunities in terms of which universities use them, so I was like, yeah, let's go for that one, seems more straightforward. Like I mentioned, the UCAT is an entrance exam used by the majority of medical schools in the UK, and it comprises of 5 parts, 4 of them in one section and one as a standalone by itself. In section 1 we have verbal reasoning, which is a literature section, tests your speed reading and comprehension. We have section 2, which is decision making, where it's kind of there are like puzzles and riddles, and I'll put a few examples on the screen, and yeah, you have to answer these puzzles and riddles. And then you have third section, which is quantitative reasoning. This is just speed math section. And then you have the last section, which is abstract reasoning, and now this is out of the box puzzles. Can you pattern recognition? Can you identify what the rule is in this pattern and what the rule is not in this pattern, and things like that. And in section 2 we have the situational judgment test. You're given a scenario and you get given what the person did in the scenario, and then you need to rank it: very appropriate, somewhat inappropriate, completely inappropriate. And yeah, that's how the test is comprised. Each section is out of 900 for a total of 3,600. And then the situational judgment test in part 2 is scored differently. You get put into different bands, band 1 being the best and band 4 being the worst. Most medical schools won't consider your application if you get a band 4 in situational judgment. So yeah, that's definitely the red zone. Anything else kind of goes. And then in section 1, each medical school uses your primary score different, the numerical one. So some medical schools like Newcastle have a cut-off crazy high, in my opinion. But other medical schools like Keele have a really low cutoff of 2,280 or something around there. And so yeah, depending on which medical school you apply to, depends on how they use your UCAT scores completely. And now, the whole test takes 2 hours, but each section is insanely time pressured, like insanely time pressured. Especially abstract reasoning, 13 minutes, and you have like 60 questions. And another tough one for time is definitely verbal reasoning, where you get 11 texts, 4 questions each, so that's 44 questions. And how long do they give you? In the 20s, I think, but I'll put it up on screen. And yeah, the texts are wham, so that takes forever to read. And then I'm having flashbacks now. I'm so happy I never have to sit this exam again. You actually don't understand. But yeah, so yeah, that's the test, and I decided I wanted to apply into medicine, so I had to sit this test. And Then came the practice. Started practicing using a website called PassMed, which I definitely recommend, link in the description. And just questions I could find anywhere and everywhere, just anything I could get my hands on, just for that mass exposure. This included the UCAT website itself, using their question banks and YouTube videos. And then along the way of my preparation, I also found a friend who I didn't know also wanted to apply for medicine, until one day we were revising in summer and I was like, oh yeah, I'm also doing this. And then they were like, oh, I'm doing that too. I was like, sick, let's do it together. I thought about buying courses during this first attempt, but I've never really bought things to help me in the past throughout my academic career. So I was like, I've never needed to breach a paywall before, so I probably don't need to do it now. I was kind of the mindset of, nah, I don't need to. If I'm consistent enough with my study and I study hard, I'll be able to get the grade that I need, or the score that I need in this exam, and pass. I don't need to pay for anything.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
I get into the exam place and I sit down and I take the test. And in the moment, it felt okay. The things that I'd been using to practice felt easier than the actual test. But then VR felt a lot harder. Quantitative reasoning also went very difficult. But abstract reasoning was the only one I actually felt really happy about. And another thing that happened actually during my abstract reasoning section was that I really needed to go to the toilet. I drank way too much water before going into the exam. And then, so the woman goes to me, because I put my hand up to say I need to go to the toilet, and this was just before my abstract reasoning section started. And when I was practicing, it doesn't move on to the next section unless you press OK. And I was before the section had started, so I was yet to press OK. And I go to, can I go to the toilet? She goes, yeah, but the test won't wait for you. It will continue to run. I didn't really understand what she meant by this, so I was just like, okay. You're a donut! And then I just went up, had a pee, took my time, I don't know why. And then I came back and I was like, wait, I didn't press OK. Why is it 2 minutes into the section where I have the least time known to man? And I was like, oh wow. So honestly, my brain just went into fifth gear in this section, because I actually liked this section. This is the one section that actually made me feel good about myself. All the other sections just beat my self-confidence into a pulp, honestly. But yeah, I make it through this section and I end up scoring really high in this section, and I did well, but that's the only section I did well in. Oh, so yeah, I'm really nervous when I come out of the exam hall. The woman at the desk gives me my sheet, because a good thing about the UCAT is you sit it and you get your result as soon as you leave the hall. And I get my sheet and the woman goes to me, oh, this is a really good score. I was like, oh, how nice of her. That kind of takes it down a little bit. And I open my sheet and it says something like, I actually have it here. September 7th, 2020. Disgusting. I mean, yeah, so she's like, oh, here's your sheet, you did really well. And I was like, what, really? I was actually gassed. So then I didn't hesitate to open it, because like she kind of killed all of my anticipation by saying I did really well. I open my sheet, I look at it, and it says 2,360. And I'm like, that sounds like a big number, I must have done well. And then it says band 2 down here, and so it goes band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4, and I got band 2. So I was like, oh, this is really good. For verbal reasoning, I got 520. For decision making, I got 570. For quantitative reasoning, I got 590. And for abstract reasoning, I got 680. And then yeah, for situational judgment, I got band 2. And that's a total score of 2,360. I got to college, because I sat it early in the morning, got to college, showed my teacher, and my teacher was like, oh yeah, you did really well. This will put you like at a really good position in your application. And I was gassed. I went home gassed. The next day I didn't even do anything. I was just gassed, because I was like, I've done well. The person at the centre said I did well. My teacher said I did well. I was like, yeah, I'm getting into medicine. At the weekend, I was like, okay, let me actually see where I'm going to apply to then. And I start researching universities, and then everybody's UCAT threshold just jumps out at me. And one by one, I'm seeing 2,800, 2,600, 2,400. And I'm like, I can't apply to any of these places. So I actually went from a high to a low. And I was like, I can't do anything with this score. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the video so far, please go hit the like button and subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel because it's free.
Thank you. Let's get back to the video. Cut a long story short, because I'll talk about this more in my journey into medicine. In that cycle, I got 3 straight rejections, 1 interview, which I also fumbled. And so I got 4 rejections that year. And I think this started all with this week UCAT. This score for that year was actually like in the bottom 40%. I'll put the actual result here, like which percentile or decile I ranked into. But yeah, I think it was bottom 40%, and there's really not much you can do with that. So that really put a sour taste in my mouth, because I studied so hard for this exam, but I still didn't do as well as I hoped I did. And yeah, this really shook my confidence, along with the flopped interview. But yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, after being rejected by all the medical schools, I really had to contemplate what I was going to do next. As you know, we're not quitters around here. And the thought in my head just popped up, I'm gonna have to sit that exam again. And yeah, I did not like the sound of that. But I was on smoke this year. I was ready. I was going to prepare so well that it would have been undeniable that my UCAT score improved and it was going to be good. That was the mindset I went into this cycle with. Made a plan. I gave myself 2 months to prepare for this exam. 2 months of non-interrupted study. And in the end, during those 2 months, I think I studied about 100 to 120 hours specifically for this exam. I also got a few courses and a few books. Yeah, I completely brought into the pay-to-win lifestyle of the UCAT exam experience. But there are definitely some resources I would not recommend to buy, but we'll get into that in a second. Through using this course, it gave me access to a lot of mock papers, and every 2 weeks I was sitting on mock paper to track my progress, and I was comfortably hitting 2,600 with band 1 or 2, and this really filled me with confidence, because this meant that I could honestly most probably replicate this same kind of performance on the day if I keep this consistent hard work up. My scores were increasing and the consistency was showing that it's paying dividends. So I was feeling confident. I was honestly feeling confident. I focused on my weaknesses, specifically 3 sections were my weakness: verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and decision making. But honestly, I'm so bad at speed reading and comprehension that I just threw verbal reasoning in the bin and decided that's a lost cause. I can get much more return for my investment focusing on quantitative reasoning and decision making. So I diverted a lot of attention to that, and we'll see if it pays off. But yeah, after those 2 months of hard preparation and smart preparation, I'd say, I got in. I was a bit more confident this time around. But as soon as the car rolled up to the assessment building again, I instantly felt PTSD from last time, thinking I did well, but then actually doing terribly, and then just thinking that what if you flop this again? What if you don't get into medical school again? All of these negative thoughts just started bubbling up to the surface, and I was rattled getting into that building. And I made sure not to drink water, and honestly that was probably just as bad as drinking too much water, because I was probably dehydrated that morning. But yeah, it was a mental roller coaster. Like, my brain was going at 100 miles an hour, That was the fastest 2 hours of my life. The insane concentration that I had into this exam was like unheard of. The test didn't go smoothly either. Verbal reasoning, crazy. The tests, I had to scroll. There was so much writing, I had to scroll the page.
Lord have mercy.
Literally needle in a haystack searching through the exam. And then situational judgment, oh, that was horrific. Another section where all the answer options were so ambiguous. I did not know what to do. My exam style is I go through the questions in order and I skip questions I can't answer at a first glance. Usually with situational judgment, there's about a quarter of the questions left, or a third at max, that I just couldn't figure out at first glance and it needed some more dedicated time. But this time around, 2/3 of the questions I had skipped and flagged. So I made it through my first run of the questions so quickly because I was like, I can't answer 66% of these questions because they're that blurry. The answer just, it's never this difficult is what I'm trying to say. Like, I was shocked. I was like, why have they made this section impossible? But quantitative reasoning went brilliantly. Abstract reasoning though, that was harder than I was expecting, and so was decision making, but I got out of that exam not feeling good. Only quantitative reasoning went well. I felt every other section was unjustly difficult, if I'm being honest. And so yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I was honestly terrified. I walked out of that building with my exam closed, with my exam results closed. The person at the desk this time didn't bother making a remark to my results, and I'm actually thankful for that because that last woman gave me false hope. This time I got out of the building with my exam results just folded. Yeah, just folded like this, couldn't see the result like this, and I just didn't look at it for time. I went outside, I told my mum I was out, and she was like, I'm coming. And then I just still hadn't opened it. And last time when I opened my results, I looked at it, I was gassed, and I started calling all of my friends, telling them, guys, I did so well. I didn't think I was going to do this well, but I think I actually did well, when I didn't even know what I was talking about. Somehow I hadn't come across any YouTubers discussing scores, what's a good score, what's a bad score. But this time I had a reference. I knew exactly what not to get, and I was scared that I was going to get it again. And so I didn't look. I just had it closed for so long, and then eventually I just eked it open, and then I saw my score, and I wasn't happy. I actually remember I laughed. I laughed because I couldn't believe this. It was like an evil laugh. It was like a deranged laugh. It was like, no way, this has to be a joke. This is some sick, twisted joke. My scores read 520 on verbal reasoning, 590 on abstract reasoning, 680 on quantitative reasoning, and 690 on abstract reasoning, with a total of 2,480. And oh yeah, I got band 3. Considering my goal was 2,600, and all of these mock exams had showed me that, yeah, you're of 2,600 caliber, and I go get sub 2,500 still, with a band 3.
I'll shout you, yeah? Another time.
I was shook. I think I was this close to getting band 4 because I had no idea what these people wanted from me in situational judgment. My heart was in my hands, and I was about to drop it. If that said band 4, oh, I don't even know what I would have done.
You'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing.
But we had a slight increase in almost all sections. As you can see, my verbal reasoning stayed the same, not surprised. Decision making only increased by 20. I was shocked by this because I thought it would go up by more. Quantitative reasoning went up by 90, and I was very happy with that because I put time into that, and I was very happy for that increase. And abstract reasoning went up by 10. And I was confused because that abstract reasoning was a lot harder than my previous one, but my previous one I definitely got more right than I did in this one, but I scored higher in this one, in the more recent one. And I sat this one August 14th. So honestly, I was still scared after getting these results, because 2,480 it's better than 2,360. I'll take that. But it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted 2,600 because that would have given me a good variety of medical schools to apply for. Although I still wouldn't have touched the likes of Manchester and Newcastle, I would have at least had a few more than I did the last year, because I think the last year I was really scratching the bottom of the barrel of the universities I chose based on my UCAT score. This exam is horrible. I put 2 months of dedicated revision into this exam and only increased by 120 points. And this is coming from someone who is a straight A student. This was honestly soul destroying. My ego was on the floor. I've never been made to feel so dumb, apart from when I sat these tests.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Come on, let's go, man.
But yeah, man, that was my UCAT experience. To anybody sitting there UCAT this year, good luck, because I know how tough that is. And anybody thinking of sitting their UCAT next year, start practicing now, because there's honestly so happy I don't ever have to do one of these again, because I couldn't think of anything worse. But yeah, I will be making a video on how to optimize your score, because not everybody can get the top scores, but I think everybody can make some kind of improvement, and so I think that's going to be the focus of the video. Yeah, you won't catch me saying how to get the best score in your UCAT, because I don't know how to do that, but what I do know how to do is I know how to make those little improvements, and every little helps clearly, because last year I couldn't apply to the medical school I got into right now with the score I got before, but even with that 120 increase, which I'm kind of insulting, it did enough. It did enough to get me where I am now, and so I want to help you guys do enough as well.
Hey.
Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you next week. Peace.
Slip, slide, trying to provide for me.